Jill Wendy Dando was born the 9th of November 1961 until her life was ended on the 26th of April 1999. She was an English journalist, television presenter and newsreader. She spent most of her career at the BBC and was the Corporation's Personality of the Year in 1997. At the time of her death, her television work included co-presenting the BBC One programme Crime Watch with Nick Ross. On the morning of 26th of April 1999, Dando was brutally shot dead outside her home in Fulham, southwest London, prompting the biggest murder inquiry conducted by the Metropolitan Police and the country's largest criminal investigation since the hunt for the Yorkshire Ripper. A local man, Barry George, was convicted and imprisoned for the murder, but after 8 years in prison, he was acquitted following an appeal and retrial. In 2012, the Serbian warlord Arkan was named as a suspect in the case. Although he had died in 2000, no other suspect has been charged with Dando's murder, and the case remains unsolved. Jill Wendy Dando was born at Hashcombe House, maternity home in Weston-super-Mare, Somerset. She was the daughter of Jack Dando and Winifred Mary Jean Hockey, who died of leukemia, aged 57. Her only sibling, brother Nigel, worked as a journalist for the BBC Bristol before retiring in 2017, having previously worked as a journalist in the local newspapers since the 1970s. Dando was raised as a British Baptist and remained a devout follower. When she was 3 years old, it was discovered that she had a hole in her heart and a blocked pulmonary artery. She had heart surgery on the 12th of January 1965. Dando was educated at Waller Infant School, Greenwood Junior School, Waller Comprehensive School and Broad Oak Sixth Form Centre, where she was a head girl and completed her A-levels. She then went on to study journalism at Cardiff Metropolitan University. Dando was a member of Weston-super-Mare Amateur Dramatic Society and Exeter Little Theatre Company, with whom she appeared in plays at the Barnesfield Theatre. She was a volunteer at the Sunshine Hospital Radio in Weston-super-Mare in 1979. On the morning of 26th of April 1999, 37-year-old Dando left Farthen's home in Chiswick. She returned alone by car to the house she owned in Fulham. She had lived in the house, but by April 1999 was in the process of selling it and did not visit it frequently. As Dando reached her front door about 11:32 a.m, she was shot once in the head. Her body was discovered about 14 minutes later by a neighbour, Helen Doble. Police were called at 11:47. Dando was taken to nearby Charing Cross Hospital, where she was declared dead on arrival at 1:03 p.m. As Dando was about to put her keys in the lock to open her front door of her home in Fulham, she was grabbed from behind. With his right arm, the assailant held her and forced her to the ground, so that her face was almost touching the tiled step of the porch. Then with his left hand, he fired a single shot at her left temple, killing her instantly. The bullet entered her head just above her ear, parallel to the ground, and came out the right side of her head. Forensic study indicated that Dando had been shot by a bullet from a 9mm short caliber semi-automatic pistol, with the gun pressed against her head at the moment of the shot. The cartridge appeared to have been subject to workshop modification, possibly to reduce its charge. Richard Hughes, her next-door neighbour, heard a scream from Dando. "I thought it was someone surprising somebody, but I heard no gunshot." Hughes looked out of his front window and, while not realising what had happened, made the only certain sighting of the killer, a 6-foot-tall, white man around 40, walking away from Dando's house. After the murder, there was intense media coverage. An investigation by the Metropolitan Police, named Operation Oxborough, proved fruitless for over a year. Dando's status as a well-known public figure had brought her into contact with thousands of people, and she was known to millions. There was huge speculation regarding the motive for her murder. Within 6 months, the murder investigation team had spoken to more than 2,500 people and taken more than 1,000 statements. With little progress, after a year, the police concentrated their attention on Barry George, who lived about half a mile away from Dando's house. He had a history of stalking women, sexual offences, and other antisocial and attention-seeking behaviour. George was put under surveillance and arrested on the 25th of May 2000 and charged with Dando's murder on the 28th of May. George was tried at the Old Bailey, convicted on July 2, 2001, and was sentenced to life imprisonment. Concern about his conviction was widespread on the basis that the case against George appeared to be thin. 2 appeals were unsuccessful, but after discredited forensic evidence was excluded from the prosecution's case, George's 3rd appeal succeeded in November 2007. The original conviction was squashed, and the second trial, lasting 8 weeks, ended in George's acquittal on the 1st of August 2008. After George's acquittal, some newspapers published articles which appeared to suggest that he was guilty of the Dando murder and other offences against women. In December 2009, George accepted substantial damages from newsgroup newspapers over articles in The Sun and the News of the World, following a libel action in the High Court. Lines of inquiry explored in the police investigation included theories that a jealous ex-boyfriend or an unknown lover had killed Jill Dando. This was quickly ruled out by detectives who interviewed all Dando's friends and acquaintances and checked their phone calls. A belief that somebody had hired an assassin to murder Dando as revenge for their being convicted as a result of evidence from the Crown Watch viewers. After exhaustive inquiries, this was also ruled out by detectives. Various theories relating to Bosnian Serb or Yugoslav groups in relation for NATO actions against media outlets and their appeals for aid during the Yugoslav wars. The possibility that a deranged fan may have killed Dando after she had rejected his approaches. Dando's brother Nigel informed detectives that she had become concerned some guy pestering her in the few days before her death, but this was ruled out by detectives. A case of mistaken identity was unlikely, given that the killing took place on the doorstep of Dando's own home. Following the Jimmy Savile sexual abuse scandal, a claim was made that Dando had investigated a paedophile ring at the BBC during the mid-1990s and had handed a dossier containing her findings to BBC management, purportedly prompting a revenge attack. The BBC said it had seen no evidence to support the claim. Actions taken by a professional rival or business partner also had to be considered. Her agent John Roseman stated that he had been interviewed as a suspect by police. The original police investigation had explored the possibility of a contract killing, but since Dando was living with her fiancé and was only rarely visiting her Fulham residence, it was considered unlikely that a professional assassin would have been sufficiently well informed about Dando's movements to have known at what time she was going to be there. CCTV evidence of Dando's last journey, mainly security video recordings from a shopping centre in Hammersmith, which she visited on her way to Fulham, did not show any sign of her being followed. On the night of her death, Dando's BBC colleague Nick Ross said on Newsnight that retaliatory attacks on criminals against police, lawyers and judges were almost unknown in the UK. Forensic examination of the cartridge case and bullet recovered from the scene of the attack suggested the weapon used had been a result of a workshop conversion of a replica or decommissioned gun. It was argued that a professional assassin would not use such a poor quality weapon. The police therefore soon began to favour the idea that the killing had been carried out by a crazed individual acting on an opportunist basis. This assumed the profile of the perpetrator led to the focus on George. Cold case reviews by the police after 2008 concluded that Dando was killed by a professional assassin in a hard contact execution. Pressing the gun against her head would have acted as a suppressor, muffling the sound of the shot and preventing the killer from being splattered with blood. In 2012, a cold case review named Serbian warlord Arkan as a suspect, although by this time he had died. Please like and comment and subscribe. Thanks.